Well, good morning, guys. Today I would like to touch on the subject of Saturn. Now, when a person is born, you have a birth chart, right? Or when not just a human person, but a animal, they have a birth chart, just like humans. So if you look at your birth chart, there's this planet called Saturn inside. It looks like the Chinese character Jiu, not Jiu for 9. So the thing about Saturn is that wherever it is in your chart is where you are here to learn lessons about your life. It is karma that you have carried forward from previous life. If you believe in reincarnation, if you subscribe to the theories of karma. Now, even if you don't subscribe to the theories of karma, even if you don't embrace the theories of reincarnation, Saturn's lessons are still valid. Okay, so what is Saturn? Where Saturn is where you will face restrictions, is where you will have a lot of responsibilities. It is where you will have a lot of duty to fulfill or discharge. So, I mean, there's many more things that Saturn represents, but let's just take a look at that for now. So if you have Saturn in house 1, it's about, house 1 is your personality, right? So Saturn in house 1 basically says that you resist duty, you resist responsibility, you resist taking charge. So it is what you must do. So house 1 is personality, is the start of the chart. It's the first house, the first section of a Western astrology chart. So it covers every area of life, yes? So basically with anything in house 1, right, it means it's applicable to all areas of your life. Okay? So if you have Saturn in house 1, then it's time to step up to the plate and bat. You cannot be playing a baseball game when you're just a bench warmer. Bench warmers get nothing. Yeah? So next one will be Saturn in house 2. So house 2 is representing emotional state, correct? So people with Saturn in house 2, they tend to be a bit more grumpy, a bit more sour face about many things. Maybe the physical face is not sour because house 2 is not so much the physical, but maybe it's a case of the attitude towards solving problems, because life will always have problems on. Okay. Now, house 2 is also about money. So people with Saturn in house 2 need to learn money management skills. Okay. So Saturn in house 3 represents siblings. So if you have Saturn in house 3, then it means that you are duty bound to take care of your siblings. Yeah. And house 3 is also about the way you communicate, the way you talk. So with Saturn there, you would do well to exercise politically correct expressions of your thoughts. Okay? So Saturn in house 4. House 4 is family. House 4 is your unconscious thoughts. So if you have Saturn there, then you have a duty to discharge towards your family, especially towards the mother, because house 4 represents mother. Okay. House 5. Saturn in house 5 is about your children. So if you have Saturn there, then it means that your children are a source of frustration. It's the same. If you have Saturn in house 1, it means everything seems to irritate you. Okay, if you have Saturn in house 2, then it means that all problems irritate you, all money related issues will annoy you and frustrate you. If you have Saturn in house 3, then your siblings, they annoy you a fair bit, or the words you say get you into trouble, that kind of thing. So Saturn in house 4 basically means that home related issues tend to kick your BP up a bit, and it also basically means that your relationship with your parent is especially the mother, because house 4 is mother, can cause you a lot of frustration. Now, who is the source? Who is the source of the frustration? Not the mother. It's your chart. So if you have Saturn in house 4, your mother or your parent irritates you. But is it your parents' fault? It's not. Okay, firstly, it's not a question of fault. Secondly, it's not about, for the sake of understanding, it is not your parents' fault. It is basically you, your chart. So it's the way you think, the way you speak, the way you do things. So once you accept that it is you, you can then change your method, right? Yeah. So if you have Saturn in house 5, it then means that your children are a source of aggravation to you. Many duties and responsibilities to discharge towards them. So if you're the parent with Saturn in house 5, then you suck thumb and you just discharge it lah. What choice do you have? They are your children, right? Now if you have Saturn in house 6, it means your diet needs attention. So quite probably you have a lot of dietary restrictions, and you also find that, you know, your day-to-day 24 hours, a lot of problems. It's you of all people seem to be experiencing all the small shitty problems that come in. They don't really they don't impact you in a painful way. It's a lot like the snake and pig clash in Bazi, you know, all the uabo, all the small nonsense. But of course, all the small things, when they add up, it builds up the pressure lah. So then if you have Saturn in house 7, it means that your marriage is one that comes with a lot of duties and responsibilities. Yeah. So how that translates in terms of finding a partner, it basically means, number one, it's quite hard for you to get a partner. Number two, your partner is probably older than you, and there's this fruit fly flying around us all the time. Yeah. Saturn in house 8 basically means that the way you think is very restrictive. You see a small box and your brain is just functioning in that box. It's very hard for you to break open that box and think outside of the box. Okay? Kotak ah. In dialect we say kotak, old-fashioned, or not broad-minded. Okay? So if you have Saturn in house 9, then it means that because house 9 is higher ideals, your religious beliefs or your spiritual beliefs. So people with Saturn in house 9, they have a lot of restriction in that area. And you see, where there is restriction is where you must go and move forward and try and discover it, right? To borrow a phrase from Spider-Man, with responsibility comes freedom, right? With power comes great responsibility. With responsibility comes freedom, and that is true. Because where you show up and start being responsible is when you start having a lot of freedom. Because all the problems are settled. They are preempted even before it hits the fan. So you already know this is the problem, so I put this measure in place as a stopgap to prevent the problem from happening. Then you have more freedom, right? Yeah. So Saturn in house 9 are people who have very limiting belief systems in their life. House 9 also represents relationships with in-laws. So if you have Saturn there, then you kind of need to open up and be more receptive to your in-laws in terms of relationship. Okay? Now I'm not saying that the in-laws are right. I'm just saying be receptive, be open to listening to what they have to say. If you have Saturn in house 10, then it means that your relationship with your father of the opposite sex, which basically means if you're female, then Saturn in house 10 is your father. But for guys, it's opposite sex, so again, it's relationship with mother. So then you're asking, how come guys got house 4 and house 10 both representing mother? House 4 is traditionally the parent that stays at home, the mom. House 10 is the relationship with the father, the person who is outside all the time, bringing back the bacon. That's bacon. So it is interchangeable in that sense. It's like it's similar to the shifting palace theory in Bazi, okay, where one thing can represent many things. So if you have Saturn in house 10, it basically means that your relationship with your father may be one where you are very obligated or very duty bound, a lot of obligations to discharge. And Saturn in house 10 also represents your career. So people with Saturn in 10 will find that they spend a lot of time working at the office. But the reality is that just because you spend a lot of time in the office doesn't mean that you're being productive. So you need to watch yourself. So Saturn in 11. Now, house 11 is the whole world right now. So if you have Saturn in house 11, you will find that every attempt that you make to put yourself out there, be it to have fun or to enjoy life a little bit or to experience life a little bit, you always get screwed in the rear end. Because with Saturn there, it's kind of like something bad always happens, and then it teaches you that no, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So people with Saturn in 11 or Saturn in 5 can lead quite sad, boring lives. But then again, it depends on the person, because some of them don't like socializing. Then it's fine, you know. So Saturn in 11 basically means that you need to be really careful about who you socialize with. Okay. Saturn in 12, house 12 is your rubbish bin of life. So if you have Saturn in 12 inside that, then it basically means that you need to look at your subconscious beliefs. You need to go attend workshops like Anthony Robbins or T. Harv Eker. Yeah, that kind of workshop is good for you because it will raise your levels of self-awareness, because house 12 is how you sabotage yourself. Morning, Jade. So coming back to house 12 is how you sabotage yourself, how you basically slap yourself in the face lah. But the thing with house 12 is that it is an activity that you are not aware of. So if you have Saturn inside there, or if you have some of the more malefic planets inside there, like Pluto for example, then it can be quite painful. So with Saturn in 12, it is good if you can go and take part in any workshop or learn a tool, like let's say tarot for example, or even astrology, to raise your levels of self-awareness, so that you know that okay, when I do A, I'm actually fucking it up. When I do B, I'm actually fucking it up. So the thing is that you say, oh, but my friends will tell me when I fuck it up. No, they won't. Friends never tell you the full truth because they want to be your friend. If I tell you the full truth, you will hate me, and then you will not talk to me, and then I cannot be your friend, and then I become the bad person. I become the Cao Lang, right? So friends will also have their own agenda. They will want to always be in your good books because they want to be in your friends. Okay, they want to be in your friend list. Not just the Facebook friend list, but they just generally want to be your friend. They want to be thought of as the good person. So your friends will never tell you the 100% full truth. They will always tell you edited or a doctored version, or maybe they choose very politically correct words. Not wrong. It's just that not very forward moving for you lah, whoever the you is. Okay, so today we've covered Saturn. I think also right now Saturn in transit in the sky is in Gemini. Is it Gemini? No, it's in Capricorn. So Saturn rules Capricorn right now. So a lot of people are afraid of Saturn because it means that trouble coming, which is true. There's trouble coming, but the thing is that with Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn in its own sign that it rules, it implies that the native, whoever has this chart, right, they are trying to get very organized in life, and it's good. So if you're a rising Capricorn, well done. Take this opportunity, go get yourself organized. Now everyone currently has Saturn in Capricorn in transit, and that's fine. That's fine, you won't die. It's basically a shout out to the world saying, hey look, it's time for you to get organized, get your shit together, assess where you stand medically, physically, financially, emotionally, get your crap together. Okay, so I leave you with that today. If you have questions, just drop me a message and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So Jade, since you're here, I suggest you go look at your Western Astro chart, try and determine where Saturn is in your chart, listen to the video and see what you get. Bye guys.